Our families, our communities, our teams, they don't need us to be perfect. They don't need us to be this image we have in our head. They need us to be healthy and authentic. So, whoever the heck you really are, mama, buried under your roles, your responsibilities, and what society has told you you're supposed to be, your essence, your soul, who you authentically are is exactly what your family needs. Nothing more. Okay? So, the task isn't to do more, the task is to get clear on what matters most. Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod. Welcome back, my friends, to the Unperfected Pod, where we normalize normal and find freedom through a life unperfected. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast as much as I'm enjoying making it and creating it and sharing it. This has been such a joy thus far. And today I am getting into a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is something that I have grappled with for as long as I have been a mother, and something that we see show up with our clients every single day. And that is dun 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 mom guilt. So I want to ask you, are you a mama who struggles with feeling like no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough? Like if you're killing it in one area of your life, the other areas are falling apart. So maybe things are actually going well for you at work. You're feeling like your head is in the game. You're putting your best foot forward, but things are totally falling apart in your home. The house isn't clean. The kids aren't getting their homework done. You're getting messages from their teachers. Or maybe you feel like you've been really present at home, but your peers are passing you by at work. Or your marriage is suffering because it's getting the last of what you have to give, which is nothing. Or maybe you are burning the candle at both ends and trying to keep up and do everything the best you can. And in order to do it, you find yourself falling back into old habits, old patterns, old ways of being that are no longer serving you. And that kickstarts a whole nother mom guilt / shame spiral. Listen, if you are a mama who feels like there is just not enough of you to go around and some area of your life is always suffering, I want you to know that that is normal and you are not alone. Welcome to the conversation. This podcast is going to be for you. So today I'm going to explore kind of the experience of mom guilt and how that shows up for me and how that might be showing up for you. We're going to talk about where it's coming from or what parts of our lived experience create and perpetuate this mom guilt. Then I'm going to share with you guys some things that you can do, some things to consider in helping you minimize your mom guilt. And then I'm going to end with a resource for you to take this work a little bit further and a little bit deeper. So let's go ahead and get started. What is mom guilt? And guys, there isn't really like a sophisticated way to explain it. It's a shitty feeling. It's a feeling of it. It's a feeling of doom, isn't it? It's a feeling of exhaustion. It's a feeling of never feeling good enough. It's a feeling of feeling bad. So mom guilt is a feeling. It's a feeling that we have in our bodies that we tell ourselves stories about that manifests and shows up differently for each of us. So for me, mom guilt feels like waking up in the morning and feeling like a terrible person because I lost my shit on my family last night. Or before I started on my health journey, it feels like waking up in the morning and having a deep regret, a heaviness on my heart and chest and mind about the things that I ate, the things that I drank, and the shopping that I did to numb out the night before. Mom guilt feels like I'm present for this presentation and killing it at work, but I'm worried that I'm fucking something up with my kids because I'm not at their fill in the blank. Or feels like when I'm with my kids, I'm antsy and anxious and irritable and not present because I'm thinking about the million things I'm supposed to be doing to move my business forward, to be the best me professionally. Or it feels like avoiding my partner because I know I haven't shown up my best and fully for him in the relationship, and I don't even want to hear what he has to say about it. So, mamas, mom guilt shows up in a lot of different ways. It's a story you're telling yourself about where you're falling short. And here's the kicker, that you're terrible or bad because you're falling short. And that's a sensation and energy that you're hosting in your body that can feel like an empty pit, a nervous belly, a headache, a fatigue, all of these things. And so maybe you take a moment to just right now explore, what is my experience of mom guilt? Is it a tape and a narrative and a story I tell myself? Is it a beating myself up in the morning or when I'm at work or when I'm at home? Is it a sensation that I'm carrying in my body? Where and how is it showing up for me? It's different for all of us. But I got to this place, my friends, where I noticed that I was on this mom guilt resentment teeter totter, which means I was either in some land or some version of mom guilt, feeling like no matter what I do, it's not enough. Something is suffering. Something's not getting the best of me. Or I was bringing my best, being my best for those things. And I was entering into the land of resentment. And resentment is a really scary thing because it's insidious. It starts to add up. And before we know it, we're really angry. At least that was the way that my resentment shows up, is like burnout, fatigue, and anger, and sometimes even rage, if I'm completely honest. And so it was exhausting being on this teeter totter of, oh, I'm either feeling guilt about not being enough or resentful. I'm doing fucking everything around here. And at one point, I was like, gosh, I don't think there's a formula for success. I think I need to get the heck off the teeter totter all together. And so that's my invitation for you today, my love, is for you to just get off the teeter totter. And let's talk a little bit about how. Okay. So when we talk about mom guilt, right? Mom guilt is just the feeling bad. Like we're never doing enough. We're never being enough. Let's talk about where it comes from. Okay. If you listen to episode 2, I talk in detail about conditioning, which are the psychological messages that we absorb growing up that create our internal subconscious beliefs around what it means to be good enough. And then you layer in the influx of communication and information online about how to be the perfect mom, wife, leader, yogi, fill in the blank, parlayed in with all the social media images that we see of everybody's highlights. And we create this imaginary bar of where we're supposed to be as a person, who we're supposed to be as a mother. And that bar, that imaginary, unattainable bar, creates all of these shoulds that we should be doing and supposed tos that we should be doing in order to be whatever that bar is, whatever that image is. And so over time, my loves, as a modern mother, as a mother who is juggling work and family and her own mental health, we have just taken on more and more, not let anything go off of our plate. And we have all of this information about how we should be doing it better. So now we don't have to keep up with the Joneses. We have to keep up with the Kardashians. Now we don't just have to pack a lunch. It has to be gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, dye-free, and look like a Pinterest-worthy bento box. Now we're supposed to be mindful of so many things to keep ourselves and our family safe. And I'm not saying that they aren't important. I'm just saying that there is a never ending list of things we should be doing to fit this bar, to fit this image of a good mother. And in trying to attain the unattainable, we're making ourselves sick. We're really wearing ourselves down. And it's costing us our mental health, our emotional well being. It's costing us our energy and our potential that we could be pouring into the things that matter most. So, this conditioning, this information, this influx of information about how to do everything, and social media has created this idea of perfectionism. And if you're like me, you were already a perfectionist. You were already a type A, highly driven go-getter. And so you can see how this is a recipe for disaster, where if you want to be great at all the things, there are unlimited things you could be great at. And if you care a lot and you're driven and you're a borderline perfectionist or a full-blown perfectionist, you are number one, trying really hard, and number two, falling short in some arena in your life and in beating yourself up about that. And so here is the brutal truth. You guys know that I keep it real. Okay. I'm going to tell you the things that you need to hear, not that you want to hear. There isn't enough of you to go around. There isn't enough energy to sustain the bar that you've set for yourself on the kind of mother, the kind of partner, the kind of leader, the kind of person that you think you're supposed to be. There isn't enough. There isn't a formula for success. There isn't anything called perfect balance. And so instead of continuously and relentlessly trying to achieve this perfectionism, this bar, we're going to get off the teeter-totter altogether and we're going to lower the bar. We need to reshuffle the deck, reestablish what actually matters most. So instead of trying to keep up with this ideal image we have in our head, we're going to rewrite the script. We're going to determine what a realistic image can be. In other words, we can't be perfect at everything, but we can choose a few things that matter the most and live with focused intention around those things. So you see, our families, our communities, our teams, they don't need us to be perfect. They don't need us to be this image we have in our head. They need us to be healthy and authentic. So whoever the heck you really are, mama, buried under your roles, your responsibilities, and what society has told you you're supposed to be, your essence, your soul, who you authentically are is exactly what your family needs. Nothing more. Okay? So the task isn't to do more. The task is to get clear on what matters most. And so when I tell you, guys, we got to lower the bar, this keeping up with the Kardashians, this ideal of the perfect mother and having it all and balancing all, it's bullshit. Let's toss it out together right here, right now. You're going to make yourself sick trying to achieve that. So let's lower the bar by remembering who the heck we are and what matters most to us and letting those things guide us in our goals, the way that we show up every day. And so that's the first step in lowering the bar, is getting clear on who you actually are and what matters most to you. And this is the work that we guide clients through in one-to-one and in our groups and trainings and all that good stuff, is like that self-discovery journey of who am I? Like, who was I before I became a mom? Who was I before I had all of these roles? And a couple of tips that I would give you to start doing that work is, number one, to slow down and start paying attention to yourself. We are so accustomed to giving of ourselves to others, to paying attention to everyone else, to anticipating everybody's needs, to pouring into everyone else's cups and nurturing the world around us, that we've stopped paying attention to our own damn selves. We've turned our attention off of our bodies. We've disconnected from our soul and our intuition. We've put our needs and our dreams and our desires last, and then we wonder why we're burnt out, resentful, and anxious. Okay? So we have to start to pay attention to ourselves because in turning our attention inward, in paying attention to ourselves, number one, you're going to get the information you're looking for. Number two, you're going to send a message to your brain and body that you actually matter. You see, the brain is always recording this information. The brain doesn't know whether this paying attention to you happens now or when you were little, but it's recording it as truth in this moment. So when you start to pay attention to yourself, you're sending this beautiful message to yourself that your brain is recording as truth, that you matter, that you have the answers. This is massive. It might seem minuscule. This is a major shift in your energy, in your well-being, in your mental and emotional health. Slow down, mama, and start to pay attention to yourself. What are your thoughts? Are they nasty and mean? What are your feelings? What are your body sensations? Number two, journal, meditate. Sit in stillness, but engage in behaviors that allow for your brain to slow down, your nervous system to regulate, and for your truth to bubble up. You see, when we're busy being anxious and overachieving and showing up for everybody, it's like our signals are turned off. We're just narrow-mindedly focused on everyone else. But when we sit in a meditation and we slow down our brain waves and we regulate that nervous system, we turn those channels back on to our intuition and to outer guidance, whatever you believe that to be. So when I sit in meditation, which is part of my morning ritual, every morning that I possibly can, I come downstairs before my family gets up. I start my water to get some hot lemon water going. While the hot lemon water cools down, I do a 10-minute meditation and then I journal what comes up or I start creating. Now, this is on an ideal day. If you're a working mom, you know that shit goes sideways all the freaking time. So every day is not perfect. There are plenty of days when my daughter came into our bed last night and I'm effing tired, or she woke up earlier than expected, or I don't know. I need to sleep longer. There's days that I don't do this shit, guys, and I'll get to it later. But on an ideal day, I get up before my family and I have a morning ritual where I can start my day by paying attention to myself, by filling my own cup, by pouring into myself, by listening. Guys, this little 30-minute ritual has, I swear to goodness, changed my life in such juicy and meaningful ways. Was it hard to get there? You bet. And we'll talk a lot about habits and rituals and all sorts of things in separate episodes. But I want you guys to set aside some time to slow down and pay attention to your own inner guidance system. Because let's be real, don't fuck with a mother's intuition. It is something fierce. It is my signature strength. It is my core essence. It is my gift. And as a society, we've been told that our ability to intuit, to sense, is like witchcraft and crazy talking. Have you ever been praised in a work setting for your ability to sense and see what's going on that's not being said? That is my gift. That is our superpower. And we need it in the world. So let's start tuning in this small way so we can use that information to guide us and to help us be the best we can be in the areas that we determine matter most. So slow down, pay attention, do some journaling, do some meditation. Another tip I would give you for figuring out who you are and what matters most is, what did you love to do when you were little? Tapping into that inner child. What brings you joy? What makes you feel the most alive right now? I used to love to perform, you guys. I used to make my parents sit down on the couch and literally watch me perform Madonna and her entire album. I would sing it. I would choreograph it. I would dress up in her different numbers. I was also Madonna, you guys, for Halloween. Like, I idolize this queen. Cannot wait to see her this year. So there was this part of me that loved to sing and dance and perform. Where can I bring some of that back into my daily life? Well, guess what? When I do trainings and presentations and workshops and groups in my business, when I go and speak to people, when I'm online on social, I am bringing that part of me. I'm folding it into the mix and it brings me effing joy. Follow what lights you up. Pay attention to what your body says about things, right? So, another thing that I loved when I was little, I grew up in San Diego, California, and the beach was huge. So, being in the ocean, playing in the waves, boogie boarding, jumping, I felt so free, you guys. Still to this day, the ocean does something magical to me. You watch, I will get back to that ocean someday in my life. But being in the water, the way that it makes me feel in my mind, body, and spirit, that's a clue, something that's authentic to you. So when you walk into a room or you're around certain people or you're trying a new hobby on or you're in the mountains on a hike or at the beach, pay attention to what your body's telling you. If it feels good, write that shit down. That's a thing that's authentic to you. If it feels like yuck, resistance, anxiety, discomfort, that might not be for you. Now, there's a delicate balance. When you are a high achieving go getter, we do some things that make us nervous because we have big goals and dreams and desires and we give a shit. But that's not the anxiety I'm talking about here. I'm talking about it just feels yucky. That's a clue that that's not for you. So start trying new things on. Remember who you were as a child. Follow your bliss. Follow what lights you up. Okay, there is a documentary that I absolutely love for inspiration in this work. It's called Finding Joe. And I watch that at least once a year to stay motivated, to remember what matters. I also love human design as a way to get to know yourself. I'm a generator, which means I'm part of the energetic life force. I give the world energy, and that's me, right? I believe that. I also like the Enneagram personality test that I feel like is really beautiful and holistic. Those are a couple tools. But just to recap, we are not doing everything anymore to keep up. We're getting clear on who we are authentically and what matters most to us and letting those things guide our journeys and guide what we lead with in our families and in our professions. And the first step to lowering the bar is getting clear on who you are. And these are some tips I'm giving you on how do I get to know who I am. You've got to slow down and pay attention to yourself. Journaling, meditation, following what lights you up, paying attention to what your body is telling you, remembering who you were when you were little. And then there's some actual assessments and tools that I think are helpful in that self-discovery journey, which are human design and Enneagram. Now, none of us are boxed into those categories, guys. As human beings, we are so terribly complex, but they're kind of like guiding principles. So you got to get to know who you are and what matters most. Then do some exercises around your core values. And I think all that information that I just shared with you would inform your core values. But getting clear on your core values, because guys, we're not supposed to be great at everything, but we can be great and really focused on a few things. So for me, my core values, my authentic code is purpose, pleasure, and playfulness. So when I am showing up each day, I'm making sure that I'm leading with purpose, pleasure, and playfulness. When I'm deciding what am I going to say yes to and what am I going to say no to, I run that thing through these filters. Does it help me with my purpose, pleasure, or playfulness? When I'm talking about the energy I want to show up in my family, purpose, pleasure, playfulness. The energy I want to bring to my team and my work, those three things. So do you see how I understand that based on social media and the internet and conditioning, I should be all these things: patient, kind, nurturing, strong, but not too strong. As a leader, I'm supposed to be empathic, but innovative, but strategic, but not intimidating. There's all of this messaging around what I'm supposed to be, but I am going to declutter the gutter. I'm going to clear that noise. I'm going to shed those shoulds, and I'm going to remember who the hell I am. And I'm going to let those couple of things guide me. Those are the things I'm going to prioritize. And those are the things I'm going to be good at. Nothing more. Okay? So when we're lowering the bar, get clear on who you are and what matters most. And then the next step is shedding the rest. You guys hear me talk about shedding the shoulds. Anytime you're feeling mom guilt because I should fill in the blank, you got to shed that, right? So when you stay at work late and you feel like you should be cooking a healthy organic dinner with your family, and y'all should be having these deep, freaking meaningful conversations around the dinner table every night. That's a should. Shed it. Unless cooking for your family, meals, nutrition, and quality conversation around the dinner table are the things that light you up, are the things that matter most. Then, yeah, leave work and get home to that thing that matters most. Okay. If you decide to leave work early and go get your kiddo from school because you value that time, you want to be there, but then you're feeling guilt that you weren't on email till 6 o'clock at night, you got to shed that. Okay. If you're feeling guilt because you're not in the gym 5 days a week, but fitness isn't a core value or something that you truly, genuinely desire, shed it. Okay. You get to decide what matters most to you and your family and the things that you lead and manage. It's not going to be everything. It's just going to be a couple things, and we need to shed the rest, shed the shoulds. Mom guilt is usually a clue. Mom guilt will give you a clue to a should, and that'll tell you where you need to shed. Okay. And at this point, guys, I want to remind you that it is safe and okay to take up space in this life, on this planet, in this world. Stop playing small. Stop giving all of you for everyone else. Stop putting yourself last. Stop feeling guilty for taking up space. As a human being, you have a birthright to take up space. Your dreams and desires matter. And so I think sometimes we just need to be reminded that, like, as a mom, I'm not just a mom. I'm a human being who has ideas and dreams and desires and opinions and problems and needs. And those things deserve space and attention. It doesn't make me a bad mom that I put my shit first. In fact, it makes me a better mom because I fill my own tank. I fill my own cup, and I get to go after the things I want in my life. And by the way, can we please debunk this? You have to choose family or success in your career? No, you don't. You can have both, but you can't go after all 10 aspects of both at the same time. You choose one focus on your family and one focus on your career, and you go hard and you live with intention. And you preserve your precious jewels, your time, energy, and sanity for those 2 things, not those 20 things. We can have what we want, and we deserve what we desire. It is more than safe and okay for you to take up space. And when you look at your calendar, I hope you see things for you. I hope you see your morning ritual or date night or a happy hour with girlfriends or a solo trip to Sedona or the Zumba class 3 days a week if that's what you want. I hope you see space for nothing, for creation. I want you to start to challenge any beliefs that you have that say, I need to put myself last. Good moms go last. Not true. So this is your loving, not so gentle reminder that you can take up space. We need you to tap into your authentic essence and your dreams and desires and your opinions. We need you to take care of yourselves, honeys. Okay? Because there's a ripple effect that this has that's really, really big and important. So shed the rest, shed the shoulds. Okay, the next step in lowering the bar or dealing with mom guilt is to let your guilt be your guide into an area of your life that needs your attention, maybe an upgrade, maybe a shift. So, as a busy working mom trying to be it all and do it all, a lot of times, I mentioned this at the beginning, we fall into old patterns, old ways of being that do not serve our highest good, that are not in alignment with the person we want to be or that we're becoming. When we are so burnt out and frustrated and tired and overwhelmed and overstimulated, you might find yourself raging at your family, yelling at your kids, isolating, overachieving, over perfecting, or my triad that I love is the overeating, over drinking, and overspending. When I'm burning the candle at both ends and I'm not taking care of myself, I try to numb and avoid by eating, drinking, and spending. And then the next morning, I would feel such heavy, terrible guilt. And that guilt was trying to get my attention to this thing that I'm doing that isn't serving me. The overeating, overdrinking, overspending, there isn't space for that in the woman that I want to be, in the life that I want to have. Sure, I can eat whatever I want and I can drink sometimes if I want to and I can splurge and spend. But guys, I know that I was going hard just as a way to cope. So if you find yourself, mama, raging at your kids at night, yelling at them over breakfast and then feeling guilt all day, when things get really hard, just totally sabotaging yourself and not showing up for that thing that you know you wanted to do, or that not showing up for that person you want to be, or engaging in unhealthy habits. Number one, it's okay. I've been there. I still have my moments, guys. I still have my moments where I act out of alignment. We need to show ourselves some grace and space. And then we need to get curious about what's going on. Why am I over drinking, overeating, overspending? What was happening that I got so triggered that I lashed out? What needs are not being met? Get curious and take action to make adjustments. If the morning is a total shit show and you lose your shit every morning, ask your partner for something different. Or ask your neighbor to take your kids to school, or ask your mother to come over and help you, or ask your oldest to help you, or get a new routine, get up earlier, have expectations of your children, get them involved, do something different. My partner and I divide and conquer. There's mornings that he gets up with our daughter and is fully responsible for getting her ready and getting her to school so I can get up early, do my morning ritual, and get into work. There's days that I do that. Then there's the nights that I pick her up and that he picks her up. Then we even split up some of our weekend time where I know I'm going to get a half day on Saturday to go to the gym or get caught up at work or sit on my ass, vice versa. We have our family time, we have our date time, and we have our alone time. We divide and conquer. But I was totally losing my shit in the morning when we were trying to co-parent and both get the kid out the door, doing it in our own ways. And of course, my ways, right? So instead of getting to a point where I'm completely overstimulated and frustrated and then lashing out at somebody, whether it's my partner, my daughter, or myself, I took a step back. I examined the situation with kindness and self-compassion and said, okay, friends, something's got to change about the morning. This isn't feeling right. And I talked to my partner and we divide and conquer. And now it's not perfect, but it's better. What is happening in my life and in my day that I'm so burnt out that I need to fall into a bottle of wine at night? Something's got to give. This is a huge reason why I left corporate America, because I was just drowning in drinking and eating and spending to keep up with the pressure of running a $42 million business and all the things that it takes to be a leader in corporate America. So it's taken me time, loves. But I have crafted my life and my days in a way that are not too much that I need to completely take a sledgehammer to myself at night. I pour into myself in the morning so I have a little bit left over at night. I am taking better care of myself so I can get good sleep so my mental health can be better, right? So if you're having mom guilt about something that's in your behavior, a pattern, a habit, a way of being, that makes you feel terrible, that you know is not in alignment with your core essence and who you are, I want you to meet that with a gentleness and curiosity. And I want you to see what we can do to shift something around that. It's trying to get your attention. There's something that needs your attention and needs to be shifted, changed, leveled up, upgraded. So let your mom guilt be your guide to the areas and the crevices in your life that are ready to level up. There's beauty in that. This is growth. Okay? Stop shaming yourself. Stop being so mean to yourself. This thing is happening. This mom guilt is trying to reveal to you where you're ready to grow. And if it's showing up, it means that you are actually ready for it. So congratulations. And again, It's all about progress over perfection. I still lose my shit. I still numb out sometimes. Like, I'm not a perfect person. I have my moments, but you know what? In general, I feel really proud of the work that I've done. I feel really proud of the intention that I live with every day. And when I fall off, honey, I have built a muscle to get the hell back on the train. And I'm proud of that. And I also embrace my messy because that is also where my magic is. And so I share that with you because I hope that you feel, number one, like you're not alone. You're not terrible. I hope you feel a little bit validated. Like all of us are struggling to balance it all. All of us are feeling like in some area of our life, we're doing pretty well, but in others, we're really falling behind. And in no area are we absolutely killing. So this is your invitation to, number one, speak the truth about where your struggle is, because in speaking the truth, we can disempower the guilt and shed the shame. And this is your invitation to lower the freaking bar. We are no longer trying to be the perfect everything. We are lowering the bar by remembering who the heck we were before the world told us who we're supposed to be, by getting clear on what actually matters most to us and letting those couple of things be the things we pour ourselves into. We are going to start to pay attention to ourselves. Okay? We are going to shed the rest, shed the shoulds. If it's not these couple of things that matter most, we're shedding the shoulds, we're letting it go. And we're trusting and believing in ourselves that we are enough as is, especially when we get clear on our authenticity and what matters most. We are remembering that it is more than okay to take up space, and that if we don't, we fall into the resentment trap. And that doesn't serve ourselves, our families, our teams, or our well being in any regard. More on resentment to come in this podcast. And we're going to use our mom guilt as a clue to an area of our life that's ready for an upgrade. And I think the most important piece that I want to end with to bring all of that together, and as it relates to that upgrade I'm talking about, we are going to show ourselves some freaking self-compassion. Okay? Grace and space. Be kind to yourself. It is hard work. Being a mom is the hardest and most fulfilling job we will ever do. Juggling that with partners or relationships and our other responsibilities. Many of you have big jobs, big responsibilities at work. Many of you are leaders and C-suite level executives and entrepreneurs that are doing big things. We are juggling a big load, all while trying to work through our own trauma and be the best version of ourselves and take care of our mind, body, and spirit. All while trying to have a little fun along the way. It's a big load. So go easy on yourself. We don't need to take this shit so seriously. Healing is important. Parenting is important. Your work goals are important, but not so important that we can't be playful in our pursuit, that we can't see the ridiculousness in it all and laugh sometimes, that we can't forget to have some fun and some rest and some play. And that all starts with showing yourself a little grace and space and self-compassion. If you fall off, you get back on tomorrow. Tomorrow is always a fresh new start and a fresh new day. Remember that. And if you're here listening to this podcast, I already know that you're an incredible working mom, because these things are on your mind, because you want to be, because you're trying, because you're showing up. So, mama, you're already halfway there. And I salute you for that. So, if you are ready to dive into this mom guilt work a little bit deeper, I do have a free mini course called Tackling Mom Guilt that you can access from the homepage of my website, which we will put in the show notes. It's free. It's got some videos and some modules and some journal prompts to help you dig a little bit deeper into this. Like, how is mom guilt showing up for me? Where does my mom guilt come from? And how do I tackle it? And what is it trying to teach me? And putting some of these action steps in motion. So that is a free resource for you. In addition to that, we will be continuing the conversation about mom guilt in my private Facebook group called Mommy's Mental Health Matters. Join us there. and also be sharing more online on TikTok and Instagram. So let's continue the conversation. I would love to hear from you how mom guilt shows up and where you're struggling, and also how it's going in reestablishing what it means to be enough, level setting the bar, lowering the bar. Nope, lower. Are you spending time paying attention to yourself? Are you getting clear on what matters most? And are you allowing those couple of things to guide you and shedding the rest? Are you falling into the trap of resentment, or are you taking up space because you deserve to and you matter? And what are you learning about yourself along the way? What is your mom guilt telling you? And where can we support you in that? So that's what I have for you today. Mom guilt, it's such a real phenomenon, and all of the things that we're juggling. You are not alone, but let's tackle it together. Until next time, mamas, take care of yourselves and there for each other. Talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Unperfected Pod. I hope this episode helped you feel a little less alone and a little more inspired to be you. If you like what we're doing here, I would so appreciate that you subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you do, share the episode on Instagram and tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected to enter to win a 1-to-1 laser coaching session. Also, feel free to join me in my private Facebook community, Mommy's Mental Health Matters, where we continue the conversation. Thanks again for being here, and see you in next week's episode.